Hey Capricorn, month of July 2020, horoscope. You're the responsible one during the full moon and lunar eclipse in your sign on July 4th. While everyone else is getting a little crazy, you're worried about the little details and all the things that can go wrong. When this lunation is over, there's a valuable lesson in it for you somewhere. An important Chiron retrograde cycle begins on the 11th, giving you a chance to forgive yourself or someone else for the hurt you've been feeling for the past months, or maybe even years. Everyone makes mistakes, some more costly than others, but dwelling on the past only keeps you from having a happy future. A sensitive Cancer new moon on July 20 brings thoughts of loved ones, and your nurturing side comes out in full force. What can you do to make sure the people you care about are taken care of in the future? This is a good time to solve conflicts with relatives that might prevent you from being one happy family in the future. The Sun enters exciting Leo on the 22nd, bringing passion back into your life. If you haven't been enjoying things because of an endless what if scenario playing in your head, it's time to let the negativity go. Living in the moment is refreshing and leads to some incredibly fun moments. Cosmic, spiritual, intellectual, physical, social, and emotional aspects of the self for Capricorn in July of 2020. Spiritual self, Four of Pentacles. Intellectual self, Nine of Swords. Physical self, Seven of Cups. Social self, the Hierophant. Emotional self, Nine of Cups. The Four of Pentacles is a wealthy investor or seeking a loan with interest kind of card. With it being in the spiritual aspect, though, this is one of two ways of looking at it. You can either see yourself as asking for spiritual messages or insight or higher power, whatever your religion is, looking for that grace, or you are that person giving out spiritual knowledge, insight, wisdom to somebody. This can be tend to be a hoarder aspect, so you don't want to give it out because you're afraid of how it's going to affect somebody or how they're going to receive it. But this is definitely something that's going on in July for Capricorn with the spiritual aspect of the self. The Nine of Swords here is a war card, kind of, or a ambush card. There's a dude, the swords are flying down, one goes through him, there's a snake down here, sword almost hits it. Pillars are falling down, buildings look like they've been ravished. So this is like a devastation. So everything that's going on possibly is really heavily on your mind right now, and how you're going to be coming out of it. And you've been in a cocoon with this whole COVID situation, stay-at-home orders and whatnot, and wearing a mask, and it's like kind of getting to you, Capricorn. You're having a hard time with all this. So in July, your mind is heavily contemplating all of this stuff going on in life. Seven of Cups primarily is about hopes and fears. This guy is kind of like bowing almost, or in a peculiar position, and all of these symbols are around him. I mean, all of these things, he's not paying attention to that though. He's just like in sorrow, and there's this lovers up here. Maybe you're like been taken advantage of, and you wish you could be here, or there's people up here, and you're like not getting, like you're being left out, and you're the outcast. And this is in the physical self. So this is just physical affections, physical attractions, possibly just how you feel about your physical appearance. Um, you're on the down and out of the physical aspect of yourself. The Hierophant can be one of two things. It can be the negative aspect of faith or community, or it could be the positive aspect of those things. It's definitely retrospective to this like priest figure being able to see the light, but he's hoarding it and not telling anyone about it, possibly, or he's waiting to tell somebody about it, or he's waiting for them to be ready. Who knows? But this is in the social aspect of yourself, so things are kind of like up in the air and it's not very clear. There's some kind of illusion going on that you sense, but you're not aware of what it could be. Now, this could also be you're not in tune with the social aspects of your life in saying that, oh, I think everything's fine, but when it's really there's something going on that you're not aware of. I mean, if you knew what they were really hiding down below, you would be maybe looking at it a little bit different for your social aspect of yourself. The Nine of Cups is compassion or sensitivity to others kind of card. As you can see, a male kissing a female from above, but he's in the shadows. So this could be one of two ways of looking at it, like the other cards, like the theme of your reading for July, and it's directly related to spiritual aspect and the social aspect to yourself. So this may be a deception coming down that you from someone who's close to you is you feeling it, and you're like, my heart is being torn between two different things. Do I trust him? Do I not? And that's what's going on with your emotional aspect of yourself. Epic, spiritual, intellectual, physical, social, and emotional aspect of the self for Capricorn in July of 2020. Spiritual self. We have the Wheel, intellectual self, Seven of Chalices, physical self, Ten of Chalices, social self, Seven of Spheres, emotional self, Phoenix of Swords. The wheel from this deck is saying that things may seem to be changing, but unless you change, nothing's going to change. You can continue that vicious cycle of misery or whatever it is that you're going through in your life. And this is with your spiritual self. So you're like looking for that, payouts from the higher self or from God or whatever you want to call it, and getting some kind of blessing. And he's like, well, look, you can't just magically be blessed. You got to deal with some karma, and that's the interest you pay on the spiritual aspect through the life on the 3D or life on earth or whatever you want to call it. It is a lesson in teaching you that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, or there's consequences, or there's things you have to consider. You can't just go through life thinking that it is whatever you make it. There is some kind of guidelines that you need to pay attention to in the spiritual aspect of yourself. Seven of Chalices from this deck is the desire for something new, or it references all your chalices are filled and you need space for a new chalice to fill. Well, it's in the intellectual aspect, so you're thinking of how much longer will this kind of stuff continue in the world that I know of, and how can this be a constant struggle that we are dealing with? And that's what's on your mind. You're kind of like, is this just how it is? Is there something else? And it directly connects to the spiritual aspect of self, so that there's a tie to that, what you need to think about or how to look at life a little bit differently, and maybe be more forgiving, or letting go and go with the flow of the universe's synchronicities that you're not paying attention to for your intellectual self. The Ten of Chalices in this deck is kind of like let it be, a harmonious aspect of the child inside, the inner child, and everybody being in harmony because you just let it be. But this is in the physical aspect, so this is kind of telling you to let go of what your expectations are in the physical aspects of your life. Don't let it get you to be all in the sorrow and not pay attention to the possible blessings that may be coming around. And it directly ties the intellectual self with synchronicity of the universe and recognizing those clues that are being given to you. Seven of Spheres is about consultation or getting advice from an expert. And the Hierophant here, maybe you need to talk to a social worker or a counselor or a psychologist or somebody you look up to in your life, a good leader when it comes to social aspects of yourself and how to deal with others. Really is what it. But remember, you have to be wary of that. Maybe the person you think that you should go talk to isn't really the person you should go talk to as well. So this is a very hard answer to come up with for you. This is going to take diligence and timing and trying to get those clues that are like, oh, wait a second, this didn't add up correctly, so let me go find somebody I don't know yet that is an expert, or watch somebody that is an expert on YouTube or whatever and find out what, maybe there's something I'm not paying attention to and the universe is trying to yell at me and it's just saying, hello, here's your answer, and you're like, no, this isn't what I have been doing in my life, but what you've been doing in life is it got you to this place to begin with, and you're like trying to go back to the wheel of vicious cycles, and you needed to be a little more patient and get the expert advice that you're looking for from social aspect of yourself. The Phoenix of the Swords is the knowing your truths, but listening to your heart. Okay, so step away from your intellectual aspect of yourself and listen to your heart and be more on the emotional aspect of yourself. And maybe you need to actually kiss yourself on the forehead and look instead of looking for somebody else to do it. And know that your experiences makes you who you are, and be proud in your emotional aspect of yourself because of that. Universal fantasy, spiritual, intellectual, physical, social, and emotional aspects of the self for Capricorn in July of 2020. Spiritual self, death. Intellectual self, Eight of Pentacles. Physical self, the Tower. Social self, the Lovers. Emotional self, Queen of Swords. The death from this deck is like sometimes you can't avoid change, and you kind of have to embrace it. If you don't, it's going to make your world a lot worse than it already is. And this is a continuation of the clue synchronicity here. I'm telling you right now, the wheel, you're in vicious cycle of your spiritual aspect of yourself, and unless you're willing to pay that interest in the future, you're going to just continue down this spiraling hell that you've created for yourself, and then you're going to be wishing you would have taken that spiritual loan and pay with generosity, like to give you a better understanding. Sometimes the things that happen to you out of nowhere that seem unexplained is a way to pay back that debt that you have gotten for the spiritual aspects of yourself through the karmic debts you've created. You got to reference the past, and maybe what if you've done in the past that you kind of deserve what you've gotten. Instead of fighting and continuing this vicious cycle, you have to like let it go and be like, okay, moving on, forgive, forget, because it's not that important to me unless it was some kind of devastation that you, unless you've done devastation to others, that's not justified, right? So if you're devastated, like seriously, not just claiming it, not just saying that's how it feels, but really physically devastated, um, and you haven't physically or done some kind of devastation to others, that's not accurate to what this is all about. That's um, that's injustice. That's not correct. That's not how this is trying to tell you. But it's the small stuff that you tend to get over jealous, or you feel like you need to get vengeance, or you need to like hold it deep and have grudges towards whatever that may be, instead of letting it go because it didn't really affect you in the long run. It's not a big deal. You need to let go of the small things sometimes. Some people say the small things is what really matters, but that's only the positive small things, not the negative small things that matter. Eight of Pentacles is about labor with humility. This guy's looking up at this long spiraling journey, which directly ties to your spiritual aspect of yourself. And it's like, oh my God, look at that. Look at that. I don't know if I'm ready for this. But if you're enduring your humility, and you're like, it's all good, I just keep on swimming like Dory and Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming, and you'll make it. I mean, so that's the new chalice to be filled, and that will get you out of this rut, this sorrow, the world throwing all its swords at you, or you doing it to yourself and you don't realize it. This makes me think of understanding that others are in you and you are in others, and we're all united in a conscious level. I tell people all the time, not everyone, but a lot of people I've told, we're all hallucinating. There's only one person when you think about the unified field of consciousness. So that's what you got to work on in July for your intellectual aspect of yourself. The Tower out of this deck is to focus on the positive, like blessings in disguise that have come from the tower being destroyed and rebuilding a new, better tower. And then you have the Ten of Chalices. Let it be, the inner child. Let it, don't sweat the small stuff. But this is in the physical aspect. So I mean, this seems like whatever physical attributes or attractions or whatever it is that you're having sorrow about, let it be. Let's get this new tower built. Let's do the work. Let whatever has been established from your past to now and your physical aspect of yourself go away through the hard work that you have to do to rebuild it. Blessing in disguise. Let's go. You'll be alright. Not as bad as it seems. With this Lover's card out of this deck is a compassion and understanding of, that moment when you start being honest and you break down crying from all the things that are bothering your heart, and getting that hug that you're needing, and to cry it out. This is the social aspect of yourself. So get that expert device in getting you to be able to get a hug that you need, or to get that cry out that you need. A good cry always heals the heart. And then the Hierophant being, that is the whatever you're looking for is somewhere in here, but it's very hard because you have to have discernment and do the research and find out what is really going to work. It's probably not going to be in your current situation with your social aspects, because your current situation is what's caused all this, possibly. Unless it's somebody you haven't talked to in a while, or you haven't paid attention, or you've kind of put off to the side for a while, then that might be the case. But I tend to think if this is somebody new that is an expert in what they're doing. The Queen of Swords is a reminder of distance, makes the heart grow fonder. So, and then the Phoenix of Swords, your truth, but also, doing that work of rebirth. And the Phoenix dies and reborns, right? And comes back stronger because it was reaching that moment of change. And when it reaches that moment of change, it gets weak and dies and comes back stronger than it was before. And then, pay attention to kissing yourself on the forehead from your higher aspect and having a balance between divine masculine and divine feminine in yourself. It's not saying who you're with may be the problem, but it may be the problem, but it may not be the problem. But this is inner work we're talking about for your emotional aspect of yourself. Not necessarily, it's not going to come from somebody else. You got to be able to love yourself, as they say. Foxfire the Kitsune, what message do you have for Capricorn in July of 2020? Foxfire. At this moment, there is confusion over which direction to take. There are decisions which need to be made, but at this stage, there is no sense that one way will be the right way. Amidst this inertia and inability to choose comes this Kitsune, wielding with it the luminous power of foxfire. With this magical flame, worries and concerns can be burned away, and the dark road ahead, upon which you have been stumbling, falling, hurting yourself, and becoming lost, will now be lit with the bright fire. This Kitsune knows you have been lost and will take you forward with a long, bright chain of fire, stretching into the distance. But first, like the fox, you must find your courage and begin to walk forward into the fire around you. In this way, there will be no flame that can burn you. There will be no harm or regret, but simply the act of movement in the direction of the flame, which will provide you with all you need to know at this time. Let yourself see clearly the flames dancing and the road they dance upon. See clearly that movement itself will save you from the despair which has led to the sense of futility and loss. And know that this Kitsune's role is to help you now, and to see you through till that clear path is fully opened and bright, and you can find your way on your own once again. And with that ability, your passion and desire for life, your daily rejoicing in simply being here will return too. The negativity will be burned away until all that remains is the hope and the courage that the passion once again trust the fires of the fox to begin to step into the bright heart of the flame. Queen of the Moon, what message do you have for Capricorn in July of 2020? Fruition. As the seasons turn, there is always a time when all the potential of the spring beginnings is manifest. The crops grow tall and are ready to harvest, and they have done this from a fallow field into which we have planted seeds. The trees have flowered, and now there is fruit to pick. It is time for the harvest. I welcome the joyous fruition of all the intentions I set. When we are able to bring something to fruition, whether it be a planting, a project, or a change in ourselves, it is the perfect time to celebrate all that we are grateful for and to mark our achievement. We may have worked very hard to bring this new situation into reality. We may have been patient in the way we have worked over time and sacrificed much to make it happen. The harvest moon is the time to be happy about our success and to share it with others. Our ancestors would dance and sing and have community festivals of thanks, all to celebrate the fruition of all that hard work and to thank the gods for their assistance. These times of high energy are also times to really focus on your body, as they can be quite taxing on our systems. If we don't take care, it is often the time we can get ill. This moon normally falls on the moon closest to the autumn equinox in the northern hemisphere. Companion stone or metal, garnet. Keepers of the Light, who has a message for Capricorn in July of 2020? The Divine Director. Divine intervention is occurring. Know that you are being guided. Happiness is your purpose. The Divine Director is a facet of the heart of the Creator. According to New Thought teaching, His energy is merged directly with God's divine plan so that we can access it and understand on a deeper level what will support our true function, which is to be happy. The divine director works directly with angels, and in particular guardian angels, so that they can fulfill their role of supporting the earth and all of her people. Right now, your angels are reminding you that your divine purpose on earth is to remember, love, and do what makes you happy. Divine intervention is taking place at this time. What is occurring in your life is providing a real learning curve for your soul. You're becoming aware of a sense of purpose in your life. It gives you a sense of joy. It's something that brings you pleasure rather than something you have to work for. Know that your career can complement your purpose but not define it. But the path you are on at this time is right, and the universe is encouraging you to move forwards. Sacred power for Capricorn in July of 2020. Source. As a source of comfort and hope, prayerful thoughts strengthen your faith in life and divine consciousness. Life in it isn't always happiness and joy. Experiencing sadness and sorrow is a part of life. Turning to prayer during times of trouble and darkness opens pathways for the divine will to act on your behalf. The power of prayer can be accessed by anyone, anywhere, at any time. When positive energy exists within and around us, it can help us balance any physical or mental condition. Divine Source speaks to us through prayer when we truly surrender our fear and open our heart to pure love. People tend to turn to prayer only in times of trouble. In fact, they should offer prayer even in good times to show gratitude and thanks for the blessings they have received. A continued flow of divine surrender opens us to new possibilities while increasing our strength on a spiritual level. Have faith. The ascended masters in heavenly realms will respond in divine deliverance if you surrender your heart to receive. By being open to the work of miracles, you allow universal synchronicities to bless you in abundance. Prayer helps your mind and body to become one. Divine communication is strong right now. Messages from loved ones, angels, ascended masters, and divine source are brought to you now. Pay attention to thoughts, feelings, and impressions you receive during and after prayer. Invoke your spiritual power and blessing from heavenly hosts and deities by surrendering to faith with an open-hearted routine prayer. The power of prayer is strengthened by your spiritual state. Mantras open doors for divine communication. Using a prayer or dharma wheel brings purification and value to your heart's request. Right now, pray for the miracle you need. You are being divinely assisted. Affirmation. From the light of God that I am, I clear and open the way for divine miracles. I surrender my heart to 100% pure light consciousness. I embrace divine will through love and faith. Divine Circus, who has a message for Capricorn in July of 2020? The Velvet Queen. A rare prize is to be bestowed upon you. The universe is confirming that the most luscious dreams of your heart are being nurtured into manifestation. To this end, you shall be given a saving grace and intervention if needs be. To be open to receive, surrender doubt in favor of unconditional trust. Through your trust and optimism, you make it easier for the universe to give you a most deserved gift. A rare prize is worth the effort to attain it. Your efforts will need to include loving discipline. Loving discipline is not about trying to bend the world according to your will, but rather about readying yourself to align with the spirit of what you want to receive. To receive rather than attempt to take by force requires strength, trust, spiritual intelligence, and courage. It is easier to try and force things from a fearful place, but it is more effective and empowering to learn how to attract and receive through consciously chosen surrender. This allows the universe to do its best work for you. To surrender is not about passivity, but doing all we can do and then trusting life enough to let go and allow the outcome to be what it will. Surrendering is not giving up. It's about trusting that there is a great and generous intelligence expressing itself through our lives, and if open to it, great treasures are bestowed upon us. So the discipline spoken of here is about changing your consciousness. It asks you to release issues around self-worth. Why should you not be empowered and assisted by the universe to create a life that fills you with joy and feels just right for you? Of course you should, can, and will be. Release any lack of self-worth that would get in the way of your opening and complete trust to the universe. The Velvet Queen assists in shifting the mind from scarcity to prosperity consciousness, where we feel we can receive precious gifts with an easy, open attitude, neither holding on to them out of fear nor pushing them away out of shame or guilt. When she enters your life, she brings the sign of abundance headed your way. This might manifest itself in many and varied ways. In financial wealth, career opportunities, increased love, and affection in your relationships, or as a sense of living in the rich fulfillment of life, spiritually as well as emotionally and materially. She also indicates a prize that is worth attaining. It is said that the sweetest fruit is at the top of the tree and therefore worth the climb. The Velvet Queen lets you know that your most prized dream is within reach, through a combination of letting life unfold as it will and your own disciplined efforts. Don't give up. You cannot make the fruit on the tree grow faster. That will happen according to the rhythm of life, but you can certainly do your part to be ready to climb the tree at the right moment to savor the sweetness of success. Wisdom of the Oracle, what message do we have for Capricorn in July of 2020? Peace. Freedom from attachment, radical acceptance. Doesn't get any better than this. A quiet mind, a heart fulfilled, freedom from want, and the soul's satisfaction. The way to peace is through radical acceptance. Everything in your world is exactly as it should be. Harmony is beautiful. Enjoy it. Relationship message. When two people are in true alignment with one another, they have an innate harmony between them. There are as two perfectly tuned instruments playing together. Sometimes it's impossible to tell who is who. Peace is yours and it is to be savored. Prosperity message. This is one of those times when you're capable of clear vision about your work and how you create your prosperity. Whether you're doing, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You're called by a presence to step into your power. Just being is enough, for you are in peaceful harmony with spirit and it shows in your work. Protection message. Now is the time for calmness and well-being in spite of temporary conditions. Even if there are disconnected or dissonant notes in the music of your life, all that means is that you must go within and fine-tune the extraordinary instrument that you are. Find harmony within yourself and don't look to the outer world to provide certainty. This too shall pass, and once again your life will be fulfilled with beautiful music. Cosmic message for Capricorn in July of 2020. Intuition. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Albert Einstein said that. When you pray with sincerity, it comes from the heart, but do you find that your prayers are often go unheard and unanswered? You are open when it comes to praying, dear one, but when it comes to receiving, you are closed. Most often, fears and doubts creep in to form barricades and block messages and communication from spirit. The universe, God, source, or whatever you wish to call that loving presence that speaks to you through your intuition, dreams, and visions is a quiet or gentle voice that often goes unheard. If you have drawn this card, Spirit is asking you to pay closer attention to that inner voice and intuition. It has been communicating to you the answers and guidance that you seek. Going within and listening to inner guidance requires being open and away from distractions. Do not be misguided by the voice of the ego. The ego is loud, disruptive, and will do anything in its power to convince you that what you are doing is foolish and a waste of time. Do not let the voice of the ego fill your head with negative and disruptive thoughts. Simply observe this loud voice. Now give that quieter, gentle, loving voice within you a chance. Life isn't about killing the ego, but simply nurturing and watering the divine within you. In so doing, the ego fails to grow and survive in the light-filled body of love. May I always have the wisdom and clarity to listen to the divine guidance and intuition within me. Associated chakra, heart. Isis, what message do you have for Capricorn in July of 2020? Healing the divine masculine. Osiris rises. The divine masculine within men and women is the energy that allows for protection, discernment, healing, and a sense of deep safety and holding, even through the most uncomfortable circumstances of life. When the masculine within us is healthy and strong, we have an inner strength to hold ourselves safe through anything. Your inner masculine is going through healing right now, growing stronger in his ability to offer you inner protection and stability so that your inner feminine can blossom with creative expression. The inner masculine and inner feminine need each other. When they are in good inner relationship with us, we feel like healthy, whole human beings. We're able to live as ourselves in the world in a relatively peaceful, creative, and enjoyable way. When there is damage to the inner masculine, there is difficulty in standing up for our truths, in knowing what our truths and values are, and in knowing how to protect them without feeling as though we have to fight constantly just to be allowed to be ourselves. We must also feel that unless others see things as we do, we have no power and then have to fight to dominate others, manipulating them to our point of view. The inner masculine part of us needs healing so that he can fulfill his divine purpose of inner strength, protection, and honoring of the self in all its uniqueness, so that we can live as free, strong individuals that know who they are and are happy to just love and be that person, and allow others to do the same. This will happen at any time he is asked to hold even more consciousness, to hold permission and strength to be even more of the unique self. The masculine and feminine within us need to be in balance with each other. There's no point having a powerful feminine with unique values and strong creative force without an equally strong masculine energy that is able to act upon those unique values, no matter what others may think, and take action to allow the creative force of the inner feminine to flow into form in the physical world. When your inner feminine is growing and desires to express her uniqueness in the world more boldly than ever before, the inner masculine needs to grow in self-belief, self-worth, and self-confidence so that he may take action to allow the blossoming feminine to truly be in the world whilst feeling secure and safe. This oracle indicates your feminine self is blooming and your masculine needs to be able to protect and honor her. Sometimes just as Isis looked for Osiris to help put him back together when he was torn apart by hatred, fear, and jealousy of his dark brother Set, our feminine needs to help the masculine to heal, so he in turn can help her. Your masculine consciousness can be healed and grow stronger through his relationship to the inner feminine within you, by adjusting and healing our own views of masculine energy so that our feminine is no longer willing to experience masculine energy as violent, aggressive, unfeeling, or uncontrolling. A healing shift begins. The divine inner feminine can then choose to relate to the divine inner masculine in a different way, to hold a different vision and different beliefs of who he is, what he can do, and what his purpose might be. She might choose to experience him as a tender, protective, strong, discerning, and stabilizing energy. What this looks like in our life experience is a change in how we are within ourselves and with others, and how we move and live and experience the world. We have more of a willingness to be kind to ourselves, to honor our feelings, and to not be bullied into stepping away from others, from our truths, by others, or even by our own self-doubt or self-criticism. It is an inner commitment to love and honor the self, and an inner trust in this commitment. So when the feeling arises to try something new creatively or spiritually, for example, there is trust that this will be respected and acted upon, and it is. When the healing of this relationship begins to occur within us, our outer relationships also change and flow into healthier expression. We begin to feel safe, protected, and strong enough to take risks and live a bold, expressive, truthful, and creative life with more energy and passion. The oracle guides you to realize that your inner masculine could benefit from some restoration and healing after being ravaged by expectations that in order to be acceptable he should never feel anything, that he should always be dominant, and that only the most violent and aggressive alpha masculine behaviors are to be respected. If you are already working on this aspect of your own healing, you're encouraged by this oracle that this is working and to stay with your process. You are encouraged to empower your masculine energy, seeing it as tender, protective, containing, strong, and aware. You are also encouraged to continually choose to let go of behaviors that cast the masculine as perpetrator or as dominating. Use your inner feminine courage, trust, and determination to avoid castrating the masculine by considering it weak, useless, or unnecessary. For healing to happen for both masculine and feminine, we must be prepared to let go of feelings of victimization, domination, disappointment, and dissatisfaction, and to do sometimes challenging inner work of learning to relate to masculine and feminine energy with a completely different approach. This can be enough to set healing in motion. It takes persistence, determination, patience, and application for the damaged masculine within us and outside of us to be restored to glory. But with Isis to help us, great healing miracles are made possible. Once the masculine begins to gain strength and be empowered to express itself as a less cliched and more authentic way, we gain the wisdom and the power of honoring and boundaries. We learn how to respect and be respectful without losing our power or becoming servile. We learn how to serve others from a place of empowerment and peace, and we learn how to cut through manipulations and posturing in the world of relationships straight to the truth of the matter. Masculine and feminine energies can then do what they are ultimately destined to do, which is unite in love to create harmony, bliss, and the peaceful fulfillment of inner wholeness. Starseed message for Capricorn in July of 2020. Star family. You're part of a team of souls. Call in support. At some stage, we were each a part of a soul cluster, a gathering of souls who broke away from one another to experience themselves individually. Those who are part of your soul cluster are part of your star family. Your star family are those souls who are cut from a similar cosmic cloth. You haven't just experienced lifetimes together. Your souls were once actually one. It's very common for star family members to incarnate at similar times, to work with anchoring a similar frequency of light, and to cross paths with each other. You know that someone is part of your star family when you feel like you know and remember them from the moment you meet. They feel instantly familiar and comfortable. Time both passes quickly and stretches when you're with them. You feel more yourself with them than with anyone else. It can sometimes feel like looking in the mirror, because in a way you are. Often you go out of your way to help those in your star family, instinctively knowing it's part of your path. When a star family member dies, you feel it very deeply, regardless of how long you knew them. A certain soul mourning or soul breaking occurs. Think about the people in your life. Who do you feel is part of your star family? If this card comes up in a spread, it's likely that you've met someone who is part of your star family or you're about to. Starseed Soul Inquiry. Who do you think is from the same star family as you? How can you call upon them for support? And that is your reading, Capricorn, for July. Click the links below. Email me. Become a patron, please. See you next month.